Hello, Internet! I'm Elliot, the purple-haired doofus, and welcome back to House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. Today we're covering chapters 14, 15, 16, and 17. I hope you've read up to that point because I do not want to ruin anything for you. Our section begins with Karen actually having affairs. It's more talking about how Karen is sleeping with these men after Navidson has left her to run away to her mom's place with her children. The tabloids get a hold of this information and start publishing any story that they can about any man that she sleeps with. And I'm just kind of thinking, why do we need to know this? What's really important about this? This doesn't interest me in the slightest. Why? Why? One of the men in particular is named Fowler, and he calls into a chat line and starts talking about how Navidson wasn't a real man. Reston actually calls into the same chat line and defends the fuck out of Navidson because Fowler has no idea what he's talking about, and how Navidson loved his wife so much that even through all of this, it would have broken a weak man like Fowler, and how there was even a span of time where Karen wouldn't even let Navidson touch her. He stayed with her throughout that entire time. I believe it was 6 months? Or it could have been 18. I can't remember, I'm sorry.
So I got this locket from my mother, and I didn't really know that it was a locket, and I opened it up and it had the very first letter that I had ever written to her while she was in the mental institution. I don't know why that fits into this place right here, but I just felt you needed to know. Read some more.
Yeah, that's sweet, Johnny, but even as much as that is sweet, it still has nothing to do with the story. But then again, the more infidelities thing with Karen has nothing to do with the story either. I am very, very confused. We go on to the next chapter, and it's basically how Karen is taking the film. Did you remember that this whole story was actually an analysis of a movie? Sometimes it's hard to remember that. But Karen is taking the movie and she is shopping it around to people to figure out what they think. And she has some very famous people look at it, like Stephen King, and she has some people that I have no idea who they are. She has her therapists look at it just to get their reaction from the film. Most people say, well, that's a creepy movie, that's a scary movie, and it just makes me want to see the movie because this book does not invoke that reaction in me. Stephen King even says, this house is real, isn't it? I want to go there. Take me to this house, please.
So you'll never guess what happened. You know, that stripper that I was in love with, Thumper? Well, she finally called me. And, well, she was kind of propositioning me for sex. And I was like, I don't know, do I want to have sex with Thumper? Of course I want to have sex with Thumper. But, you know, right before I could say anything, all my utilities got shut off. My phone, my electricity, everything. It's like all of the bill collectors all conspired at once to shut everything down. Again, don't know why you need to know that, just keep on reading.
Well, that sucks, Johnny, but still, don't really care. Want to get back to the house. Want to get back to what's happening at the house. As a response to people responding to her film, Karen creates a companion piece to go along with the movie, and it has nothing to do with the house. It has everything to do with Navidson, his history, his going into the military, his relationship with his brother. It's mostly pictures of Navidson. She called the piece A Brief History of Who I Love. It's kind of romantic and kind of touching, but still not what I want to know about. It delves into Navidson's photography background and even talks about his most famous picture. On the back of that picture is the name Delio, which you have heard before. We move on to the next chapter, and it starts off with this list of qualities that the house has, and I'm a little confused because I thought it was more a list of qualities that the hallway had and not necessarily the house itself, but the book listed it just as the house. So, The book also has a lot of comparing and breaking down elements in the house. And I'm not just talking like the sinks and the doors and everything. I mean, they scraped samples, looked at the individual elements, sulfur or whatever.
So I know a lot of the scientific analysis of the house is missing. And I wish I could say it was because some mysterious incident between Zampino and burning and stuff, but it's actually just because I let the broken ink bottle on there and it spilled all over the place. Sorry.
Thanks, Johnny, thanks. Thank you so very much. We appreciate that a lot. Sarcasm.
I want to talk about my mom for a moment. The reason that she was in the mental institution in the first place... She could tell that she was going crazy, and she could tell that she was going to be a burden on me. And she didn't want to do that. So one day, my father walked in on her. My father walked in on her trying to kill me. She had her hands wrapped around my throat and she was trying to strangle the life out of me.
That must have been rough, Johnny, but still, I feel for you, and your story even made me tear up a bit, but still, nothing to do with the house. I'm sorry and all, but what about the house? The analysis even breaks down even further. People start to assume or theorize that the house itself is actually alien from an unearthly place. The next chapter has Navidson actually staying with Reston while Karen and the kids are with her mother. Reston wakes up one day to find Navidson gone, finding a note that has a letter that he is to deliver to Karen. Reston gets worried and wonders where Navidson is, and the first place that he goes is back to the house, where he finds Navidson's car. Reston goes into the house and finds that the hallway is gone. There is no sign of Navidson in the house at all, and the hallway has disappeared. There is no way to get back into the hallway. The book then goes into analysis of why did Navidson go back into the house? What was his motive for going into the house? And I really could not care less about some hoopy-doopy analysis of what happened. I just want to know more about what happened. Then they published his letter to Karen, which actually turned out to be his will. It's very sad. It's basically him saying, I'm sorry that I put you through this. Tell my kids that I love them. Tell my kids that I loved them. Do whatever you want with the films. Sell it. Make a lot of money. Live off the money. I don't care. I just want you to be happy. Then the book goes into a lot of detail over Delio, which I will finally reveal to you. Navidson was a photographer during, I believe, Vietnam. The picture that put his name on the map was of a little girl who was picking meat off of a bone and being followed by a vulture. And it tore him up. Because this picture, while amazing and beautiful, resulted in that girl's death. The picture took him a lot of time to set up, 3 to 5 minutes. The girl died shortly after taking the picture. It broke Navidson because he was thinking, why couldn't I have just called an ambulance? Why did I have to take the time to get the perfect shot? I know it's what made me who I am, but do I really want to be this person? It tore him up so much that it actually caused him to have nightmares nightmares. And the book goes into an analysis of the nightmares. I go by the standing that no one ever really wants to hear about your dreams, about your nightmares. So spending 5 pages going into an educational analysis of someone's nightmares does not interest me in the slightest. There's one about a snail. I don't know. I was so bored reading that part. Why?
Oh, you want to talk about dreams? I had this one dream just the other day. It was the first dream that I've ever remembered. I was like really deformed, like gross looking, and there's this guy with an axe that was chasing me. Hey, did I mention that a couple of girls got into a cat fight over me at a grocery store? Yeah, they did. Anyway, so this guy with an axe was chasing me because I was deformed, I guess. And, well, he turned into this woman that I like, and she kind of used the axe to chop me into tiny little pieces. What do you think that means?
There you go. See, Johnny has a nightmare. He's gonna talk about it for a while, and it's gonna be boring. And it's just like, why? Why do we need to know any of this? The book also mentions that a lot of the characters in the story had gone through a lot of health problems while dealing with the house, and how those health problems did not go away once they had left the house, but once Navidson had disappeared into the house, those people had gotten better. That's pretty much the end of this section. Again, I thought that would be a great ending. We have 125 pages left, but a lot of those pages are empty. So tomorrow, or the next video, we finish this bitch. We are concluding House of Leaves tomorrow. Woo! Yes! We will be done! My question to you is more of a challenge. I know I just said that I hate hearing about people's dreams, and I'm guessing there are probably some of you out there that love to talk about your dreams. So, my challenge is to tell me the most interesting dream that you can remember. See if you can actually interest me in what you have to say about your dreams. The question that I had yesterday is, what is your favorite haunted house story, whether it's a video game, a book, or a movie? Mine is actually Poltergeist, the classic Poltergeist. I haven't seen the remake. I have it around here somewhere. I probably should, but I love the classic mainly for the scene in the kitchen with the steak that's moving across the counter and it slowly eats itself. And then the guy who sees it goes into the bathroom and rips his face off of his skull. It's creepy and hilarious and amazing, all wrapped into one. I just love that, like, I think it's 3 or 4 minute sequence. It's brilliant. Do not forget that next week we will be starting Bad Unicorn by Platt F. Clark. Hey, I got it right. Go out and grab it by any legal means necessary. Borrow it from a friend, borrow it from the library, buy it at a bookstore, buy it on a Kindle. I don't care what you do as long as it's legal and you read it before I ruin it for you. I've been the purple-haired doofus reminding you to watch a Pajama Radius, and I will see you all in the conclusion of House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. Toodles!